Hi and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video, which is going to be one of my first videos. I'm working on several videos at the same time, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to upload first. So thank you for watching either my first, second or third video. Today I want to talk about a topic that I feel has kind of lost a bit of its relevance in the past couple of weeks and months. But I think it might very well make a comeback. And that is because, I don't know about you, but I've been flooded with political content on social media recently because we all know the US elections are coming up. And that is why I've been seeing so much content that is related to these elections. And now I'm going to talk about a topic that might not seem inherently political, but it actually is. Today I'm going to talk about tradwives on social media, which I find fascinating because it's just so different from what I consume usually on TikTok, YouTube, etc. But I still know it's really popular content and that many people really enjoy watching these cooking or cleaning videos or tips on how to become a tradwife. And that's why I decided to make this video, which is, by the way, based on a presentation I did at a conference in June this year. And to begin, I wanted to show you these pictures that I created with the help of an AI. I think I just typed in tradwife influencer and that's what it gave me. Please pay attention to the wine mom with the 3 hands. I thought that was so funny. And yeah, so today I'm gonna first define what a tradwife actually is. Then I'm going to talk about why we should care. And at the end, I'm going to talk about my own little tradwife journey. So first of all, what is a tradwife? If we break it down into very basic terms, it's a woman who lives according to traditional gender roles, which means that she stays at home, cares about the house, does all the household chores. If there are kids, she mainly raises the kids, while the man is the provider. And the woman is the homemaker. In the last couple of years, tradwives have become more and more popular on social media. And the first spike of the searches for the term tradwife was in January 2020, during the pandemic when we were all at home. And I think that might be a reason why people watched cleaning and cooking videos, because they found inspiration in that, because everybody could kind of relate, because we were all stuck in our own 4 walls. And these videos, the topics of their videos, they include, as I said, cooking and cleaning, but also fashion advice and advice on how to become a tradwife. And the spike of the searches for the term tradwife was actually in March 2024. I think a reason for this might be the growing popularity of Nara Smith, who is one of, or maybe even the most famous tradwife. She has so many followers at this point, and although she is not as political or doesn't seem as conservative as some other tradwives, I still think she matches the definition, because if you look at the gender roles that she represents in her videos, I think that very well fits this traditional, stereotypical relationship where the man is the provider and the woman is just at home cooking and caring for the kids and everything. But yeah, so I wanted to take a look at another tradwife profile, Stay Williams. She doesn't have as many followers as Nara Smith, but I mean, still, if you look at the numbers, that's quite a lot. And here is a video in which she talks about how you can become a tradwife. I'm not going to show the whole video, just a couple of seconds, so that you can get an impression.
How to become a traditional wife. Number 1, embracing ultra-traditional gender roles into your marriage. The man, he is the provider, the main breadwinner. He goes out of the house and works. The woman, the wife, she is the homemaker. She takes care of the home. She takes care of herself and she does the cooking and the cleaning.
Something that you might have noticed in Estay's video, which is very typical of tradwives. First of all, the 1950s aesthetic. So many tradwives dress up as 1950s housewives. And the second thing is that she mentioned God in her video. Many tradwives are also Christian and are very outspoken about this. So Estay doesn't say anything explicitly political in her videos, but that doesn't mean that she is inherently unpolitical, and we will see this later. I wanted to read out a quote from Tracy Llanera, who is one of the few people who has actually written an academic paper about tradwives. The topic is not yet as popular as it maybe should be in academia, but Tracy Llanera wrote a paper in which she mentioned tradwives, and I'm going to read out a quote from this paper. Tradwives lure their viewers on YouTube and Instagram by projecting the picture of the perfect wife and mother. They don retro swing skirts and floral aprons, cook seasonal dishes with homegrown and organic produce, and offer parenting advice while criticizing the feminist movement and defending conservative, anti-women policies. They hold feminism responsible for belittling and vilifying the decision to be a homemaker and a mother, corrupting their natural appeal to women. And while this part, the vilifying of feminism, that is not the case in every single tradwife account. Like, as I said, Estay, for example, she's not very outspoken politically. And I would say it's like a scale. Like, there are tradwives who really just upload cooking videos or cleaning videos without saying anything political. But there are also some accounts that are very outspoken. And I'm going to show you one of those. So this account belongs to a woman who is called, or who calls herself, Rachel Joy. And I want to show a video of hers.
What culture tells women that it's honorable to sacrifice everything for your job, but it's unfair to sacrifice everything for your family? That it's liberating to be sexually used by men who are not committed to you, but it's oppressive to love and respect a man who is? That it's somehow empowering to rely on the system to educate your kids, feed your family, and keep you alive, rather than have the skills to do it yourself? I say culture is full of lies.
So while Rachel Joy doesn't have as many followers as Estay Williams, she still has quite a few. And I found it really interesting how she basically painted a picture of a world that is black and white. That's basically, there are good women, and these good women are tradwives, and there are bad women, and these bad women are feminists or modern women. And she opposes these two types of women with nothing in between. You're either this or that. You're either for us or against us. And interestingly, this strategy has also been applied by the alt-right. So alt-right basically means white supremacist conservatives, and they have these memes that are circulating online, and they reminded me so much of what Rachel Joy said in her video, because they always, as you can see here, put up modern women, aka feminists, against tradwives, and they always say, all modern women are whores, and they all have casual sex, and they're all on OnlyFans, and they will be alone and lonely when they die, while the tradwife is surrounded by her large family. And this meme on the right, that is especially popular. And it exists all over the world. Like, here you can see the Muslim wife versus the liberated feminist, and then you can see an Indian tradwife versus the liberated feminist. And, well, obviously, tradwives also exist in my home country, Germany. Here is one account that I found on Instagram that's called Tradwife Factory. And she has some very interesting video titles. One of them is a small reminder, your husband works hard, make him feel at ease when he comes home. Another one is something controversial from our marriage. We do not have the same rights as partners. And yeah, I think she has some very telling video titles. So now I come to the second part of my video, which is why should we care? Doesn't feminism mean that every woman has her own choice and that if she wants to become a tradwife, then she should do that? And yes, that is right. But at the same time, there are three groups that I think are especially in danger of being manipulated by tradwife content. And the first one is women, especially younger women, because like all influencers, tradwives are role models. And all of these comments you can see here, I took from the two videos I showed you, the one from Estee Williams and the one from Rachel Joy. And there are so many women there are also critical comments, of course, but there are so many women who write that they want to be a tradwife, that is their absolute dream. And I asked myself, why is that the case? Why would any woman want to have this life where she just stays at home and is so financially dependent on her partner? And I found a quote in the book Political Masculinity by Susanne Kaiser, which is really good. I strongly recommend it, in which Kaiser writes, "Tradwives extol a 50s escapist fantasy of chastity, marriage, motherhood. Today, the so-called typical women's jobs, that is, jobs in the care and service sectors, offer precarious working conditions, pay less than men's jobs, and have less social prestige. At the same time, women perform a large share of unpaid domestic labor by looking after children and caring for elderly family members." So, in Kaiser's opinion, and I actually agree with this, tradwives offer an escapist fantasy from a life in which women often get frustrated because they earn less than men if they work in a stereotypical women's job. And at the same time, in heterosexual partnerships where the two partners cohabit, women do most of the housework at the same time. And so they think, oh, if I just do the housework and don't have to earn money, then I only have one part of the work that I have to do right now. So that would be more easy. That would be easier than the situation they are in now. And to prove that the part of unpaid housework is correct, I also quote another book called Home by Alison and Robyn Dowling. They wrote about the unfair division of housework in heterosexual partnerships. Gender is a critical differentiating factor in home as a workplace because most domestic work is carried out by women. In Australia, for example, the typical woman spends 5 to 14 hours a week doing unpaid housework. The typical Australian man spends less than 5. In the UK, women do more housework than men in 93% of households. Even in households where both men and women are working full-time, women spend more time than men on housework, even when single and working full-time. And when women start to cohabit, their time spent doing housework goes up while men's declines. This divergence occurs regardless of the amount of time women are spending in paid work. And I thought that last part was especially interesting and very much supports the argument of Susanne Kaiser. So the problem with this is that the women who write these comments, or let's say many women who write these comments, are probably not aware of the fact that the tradwives they follow aren't actually housewives who are dependent on their husbands financially, because they are influencers, which is a job. They do earn money and they are not financially dependent. While if you, like as an average woman who is not an influencer, would stay at home and did the housework without having a job, would immediately be financially dependent on a man. And that can become really, really difficult. For example, if you want to get a divorce at some point and you need to find a job and you don't have years of experience because you just stayed at home all the time. And I feel like we have to be more aware of this in general. So the second group to which tradwives can be dangerous are men, because tradwives also function as a male fantasy. And again, I searched out some comments under the 2 videos I showed you where men basically said, oh, I would love to have a tradwife, I would love to be married to a tradwife. And I'm not saying that every single man who wants a tradwife is a danger to society, but there is a group of men that is actually a danger to society, and that's incels. So the word incel means involuntary celibate. So that's men who are involuntarily single, which is not a bad thing inherently, but there are so many incel forums, incel groups online with thousands of members, and they tend to be very hateful and misogynistic, and they blame their involuntary celibacy on the women. And they've got really weird concepts. Like, for example, I saw an interview with an incel a while ago where he talked about something like sexual communism, where every man just gets a woman with who he can do whatever he wants to, just to make men happy, essentially, and provide them with a woman. Really bizarre stuff. But so I thought, when an incel sees tradwife content, they basically see their dream woman, because incels also hate feminists, and incels usually also favor a relationship with very traditional gender roles, and they also think that modern women are whores who sleep around, whatever. And so they see this and they think, oh great, so these women actually exist. And that prevents them from actually working on themselves in order to be able to enter a real relationship. So instead of doing this, they also escape themselves into the fantasy of tradwives. And the third group I want to talk about, who is in danger of being influenced by tradwives, is basically everybody who's on social media, all of us. Because tradwives function as a gateway into alt-right content. And I already said that a tradwife doesn't necessarily have to be politically outspoken, that there are videos where it's just women cooking, dressed up as 1950s housewives. But still, you could end up on content that is clearly alt-right. And to exemplify this, I want to come back to Estee Williams, who I mentioned never says anything political and never says anything against feminism. And yet she was a guest at a podcast of a man called Michael Knowles, who is an alt-right podcast host and YouTube personality. And he uses her image in his videos where he again puts tradwives versus feminists. So even if you yourself as a tradwife aren't politically outspoken, you can still be used by people who are. And if you are interviewed by one of these people, then you are obviously also doing something political, even though you claim that you're not doing that. And there are also right-wing political parties who have appropriated tradwife stuff, like the AfD in Germany. Look at this meme, I showed it to you earlier, and of course they also had to use that in their campaign. And the thing that we need to keep in mind, why we are all in danger of falling into this alt-right rabbit hole, are algorithms. There is a great quote about this, taken from an article by Megan L. Zahai, who is also one of the few people who have written about tradwives in an academic context. She says, "The tradwives are empowered to amplify alt-right ideologies precisely because they need never explicitly name them. Instead, the networked nature of online communication does this work on their behalf, as recommendation algorithms materialize the aesthetic link between mainstream and extremist content." In other words, if you watch tradwife content, you will end up at alt-right content. And to show you that this is true, I'm going to talk about my own little tradwife journey. Because in preparation to this presentation where I talked about tradwives this year, I watched some tradwife videos, and here are some of the videos I watched. Nara Smith, Estee Williams, but also some content that was actually quite critical of the movement. And then I got an interesting recommendation from this woman, who I didn't know before. Her name is Candace Owens. And turns out she is also an alt-right YouTuber, podcaster. And I watched this video because it was about Ariana Grande, and I was like, hey, some celebrity gossip, that's really cool. I'm gonna watch it just as like an escapist thing. And then I watched it, and Candace Owens had some really weird theories. Like, for example, she said that it was clear from the beginning that Ariana Grande would get a divorce because if you're a woman with divorced parents, you are unable to have a happy relationship. And that really offended me because I also have divorced parents. And so I looked her up, and it turns out that she has so many followers on, especially on X and on Facebook, millions of followers. And see, her profile picture there also contains some image of a church, which is very fitting because, as I said, Tradwives are usually also Christian. And what I found really interesting as well is the thumbnail of the Ariana Grande video, because if you take a look at Candace's other profile pictures, she looks quite different from the thumbnail of the Ariana Grande video. And I think here, this aesthetic with the flowers and the hair and the makeup, that actually makes her look like a tradwife. And maybe that is the reason why I got the suggestion for this video. Because to be honest, I like some of Ariana Grande's songs, but I'm not a huge fan, so I don't think that she's the reason why I got this suggestion. And then I got another interesting video suggestion from the Candace Owens video, and that was from a German YouTuber. Well, this video is called "Am I, as a Man, Allowed to Go to a Women's Gym?" And this video is basically a play on an alt-right narrative in Germany right now, because there has been a law that makes it easier for trans people to change their gender identity in their ID, in their passport. And the alt-right has been saying, okay, so then all men will do this, and then they will be able to enter women's safe spaces, like women's gyms, women's saunas, whatever. And they will be able to say, I identify as a woman, and then they will go there and rape all the women. And in my opinion, this doesn't really make sense, because if a man wants to rape a woman, he can just go out in the street and basically rape a woman. So why would you change your gender? Why would you take this burden if you can't just go out and rape a woman? And in this video, the YouTuber goes to a women's gym and basically tells them, hey, I'm a trans woman, can I train here? And what happens is that the owner of the gym talks to him and is really kind, but basically says, I'm sorry, you won't be able to train here until your transition has come a bit further, because he obviously looks like a man, and so other women will feel uncomfortable. And then the owner says one sentence that is then completely blown out of proportion. The owner says, I get that you are a woman. And the guy is like, oh my God, he said that I am a woman. The world has lost its mind. But then nothing really happened in the video, right? Because he wasn't able to enter the gym. But as I said, this tiny part is completely blown out of proportion. And then the whole comment section is like, oh my God, everybody's gone crazy, whatever. And yeah, I ended up on this video after I had watched a bunch of tradwife content. And I just think that is mind-blowing. Yeah, so my conclusion is basically that we need to be more aware of algorithms. We need to probably also teach kids in school about algorithms. We need to talk about seemingly harmless trends like tradwives and how they can influence your political opinion, because the last election, the European election, showed that in Germany the two parties that were voted most for were the CDU and the AfD. And I think part of the problem is that the AfD gets more views on their videos than all of the other parties combined, which is insane to me, because they just offer simple solutions to complicated problems. And as I said, if you watch tradwife content, it's very easy to get into this rabbit hole, and it can definitely influence your political opinion, especially if you're young and very active on social media. And so we really need to teach kids and teenagers more about media competence, also in school. So yeah, that's basically my conclusion. And then there is nothing left to say for me apart from thank you so much for watching this. And yeah, I hopefully will see you in the next video. I'm not entirely sure what will be the exact focus of this channel, but it's definitely going to be pop culture related, and it's probably also going to be a lot about movies, just because I'm a huge film nerd and I also do my PhD about films. So yeah, that's just a tiny foreshadowing for the future of this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and then hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye!